I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast. That's right. You're tuned in to the number one basketball podcast in the universe. Thank you for joining us. I am joined with my homies, my compadre. I got Ev. Welcome back, Ev, here. Here he goes. I got Lou. What it do, Lou? And as always, we have the Pod Mamba in the scenes, in the background, making sure we continue to be the best podcast here. Thank you, Pod Mamba, for jumping in. Sub it in for Ev real quick. So he got a breather, he got a break, and now he's back. We have a great show in store for you today. We'll be talking about Pop, Lou sending Pop off, and then we're going to talk about playoffs in the East. We're going to talk about playoffs in the West. Fun times ahead. Well, let's start off with Pop, man. It's been announced under duress with a pew pew held to his head with Lou in the background. Pop made the decision. Nah. Lou called it. We gotta give him credit. He foreshadowed it. Lou is a prophet here on this show and said that it was time for Pop to hang it up. And amidst several reportings of health issues and him having that passing out at the restaurant, I think he felt it was time. But Lou, I'll start with you, sir, since you had the vision like Raven and called it. What are your thoughts on him no longer coaching but moving to president of basketball operations for the Spurs?
Come on, man. El Jefe. Let's talk
Hey,
about
man.
our dear brother Pop Smoke. You know what I mean? We talking the San Antonio version. Shout out to him. Big love to do all he's done for the San Antonio organization over the last 29 years. Definitely a Hall of Fame career as a coach and being one of the best to ever do it. Almost 80 years old, man, and with all the health issues, suffered a stroke last year back in November. And I mean, even when he was in the press conference, you can see physically he's not there anymore. And he's battled all through the stuff between his wife dying and et cetera, and now his health issues. And you see, he wasn't even able to move his left arm, unfortunately. And but for him to still be in good spirits and still to be in a true Greg Popovich joking fashion it's only right that they were able to move him over from being actively coaching to the president of basketball operations. We know that Paul Greg has been one of the great basketball minds in this game. Glad to see that he's at least operating good spirits and he hasn't kicked the bucket, man. But yes, I know I did call this. Sometimes it's just that time comes, man. That time comes. But to have two of his guys there, two Hall of Famers guys that he's won a chip with Timmy and Manu, as he announced his new position. And he'll still be able to be close to the game and close to how things are done with the Spurs organization, as well deserved as it is. And looking forward to seeing who the new coach will be, because I'm sure he'll have some level of mentorship there. But all good things must come to an end one time. Shout out to Pop Smoke.
First thing I want to do is just call out Lou for violating all types of HIPAA laws, getting early access to Pop's medical records, and
Right.
Yo, chill.
calling out what he called out weeks ago in advance.
Yo, man,
NBA needs to investigate
my
that.
old life, man, gave me access.
Clearly.
But yeah, I just echo everything Lou said. I mean, shout out to Pop, one of up there as one of the greatest coaches in the history of this game. To be able to do 29 years with one organization coaching, what he did from a continuity standpoint with the roster. I mean, we know the Tim Duncan, the Manus, the Tony Parkers, even into the Kawhi era.
Can't forget the Admiral himself.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Bringing the Admiral from really a mediocre period in his career and getting him a championship as well, albeit against my Knicks. It's all good. But just shout out to Pop for
So
just
that's what
being
left
at
that
the
out. Okay.
at the forefront of excellence from a basketball standpoint over these last years. He's done it his way all throughout. The way he revolutionized in his way the interview style. Of giving, not playing the game with the answers that he gave. He was doing that before Bill Belichick. And let's
Fact.
not forget how gangster Greg Popovich was to even get this job. He was the general manager for the Spurs, fired the
Mm-hmm.
coach at the time for the Spurs, and named himself head coach of the team.
Pulled
Um,
up.
I got this.
so the boldness of
Straight
Popovich.
isosceles triangle.
Exactly, all the way through his career, man. He's been a trendsetter, and so I definitely wish him the best health wise as he transitions into this role as president of operations, and all the best for him going forward.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I, for one, am positive and say this with all strength. Pop is top five, if not top three, coach of all time. You guys agree? Disagree, real quick before we move on.
No, no, I'd have to agree with that, man. I'd have to agree
Okay.
with that. What he's
Yeah.
done with the Spurs organization is a Spurs organization because of what he's been able to do with it.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I think I
Um,
think he's in everybody's top five, if not top three, coaches of all time.
I think credence for the
agree.
where he did it. This isn't
Yes,
you know isn't a
100%.
major market area like he
At all.
made this former ABA franchise an NBA pillar. Uh,
Yes, sir.
so you got
100%. Shout
top.
out to Pop, man. Shout out to Pop. All right, guys. Let's move on to the East Coast. East Coast. Quickly, guys. So not quickly, but we'll start off with the New York Knicks eliminate.
Hey, okay, start there.
My man perked up, eliminating, taking out this tough and gritty young Detroit Pistons teams, man. So the New York Knicks sent them packing in 6 games. They won it 4-2, took care of business real quick, didn't leave any room for doubt. They didn't let the series linger longer than it had to. They made it clear. Brunson showed up in the fourth quarter multiple times, made it happen, sent them packing with his patented three and kissing it to the sky. Ev, we'll start with you there, man. What did you see from Detroit as they kind of tested your Knicks for a little bit? What did you see from this young Detroit team?
So from a Detroit standpoint, shout out to them. Definitely a successful season from their standpoint. When you grow by around 30 games from one year to the next and create some identity that you can go forward with, that's definitely something to tip your hat to. From the season standpoint, I mean, from the playoff standpoint, knew it would be a tough, gritty, hard fought, physical series. And that was exactly what the Knicks needed to go through to give them some oomph, right, to regain that dog some going into future series, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So Detroit definitely brought that out. They brought that out of the team, and they were successful in a lot of what they were trying to do in the series. Now, one of the things we talked about a couple weeks ago was they're young, but they're not young because of the age of their role players. But
Yes.
one of the reasons that I said that they were a young team and that they weren't quite up to this moment and that they would need time to gel is because where this team ideally wants to be in the next couple of years, the players that will fill those roles aren't ready yet. When you have a Jaden Ivey that's out for the season, when you have a Ron Holland who's not ready good enough yet to be in this series and earn playoff minutes and be dependable, we saw Asar Thompson grow in this series, right? To the point where, okay, you've got a solid piece going forward. And don't worry, we FedEx his knees back to him. They got back this week. Okay, he's okay. He's okay. So this team needed
God,
this
man.
experience to get to where they hope to be in the next year or two from now. Jalen Duren, has some good some good moments in the series and some struggles in the series as well, right? But your Tobias Harris, your who has 1 year left on his deal, the Michael Beasley's, Tim Hardaway's, who are both free agents this summer, Dennis Schroeder were both free agents this summer. Like, those aren't long-term fixes for the Pistons. They have an identity now. Their young core has felt this, right? And now they know what they have to do going forward to continue to grow on the momentum they've built in this season.
Lou, I'll ask you this before we move on to the next one. What's a piece that Detroit's missing to get to the next level?
Well, I mean, I think they may already have it, right? I'm talking about Ivy with him being injured, but they really need a true number two. Tobias Harris is not going to be that. Malik Beasley, as streaky as he is not going to be that. This year was Cage coming out party, really, stepping up into what we believed he could be. But they have a lot of all the pieces that they have together, and the pedigree of what Detroit is and how hard they've been able to play and the identity of that team. We were able to see that come out in the series. It's just they need to have that true number two guy for Kane. We'll see if Ivy can be that when he's back. But so what we've seen here is they have a solid foundation for a team moving forward, man. And like Evan said, they have a young core. With that young core, they can build upon, so they can be able to have a successful a franchise move forward. But yeah, just really looking forward what that number two can be. Thompson is dope. Can he grow into that? Maybe. But he's a solid piece in terms of a staple when their defense is and so on. I'm glad you guys have DHL his knees back. Every great defender gets caught once in a while.
Listen,
Yeah,
he
but yeah,
Jordan,
no, I
man.
think it's just at the end of the day, it's like, for real. It's just just having that solid number two. But I think they have all the pieces together to be able to have a team moving forward where they'll be formidable in the East and be a perennial All Star team. I mean, perennial playoff team.
Yeah, I definitely think their stock is on the rise. Like Ev said, the pieces they have, I don't think are there permanently. Maybe one or two you can keep, but I don't think you keep all of them. You have to kind of make a move and get someone with more potential in terms of Tim Hardaway, Tobias, or Schroeder. I don't think you keep all three. I think you got to move two out of the three, at least one. But I thought it was a great series. I was so impressed with Cade. I think Cade is here. I think he made his kind of like, I'm on that level now. I'm no longer superstar B. Like, you're gonna talk to me
Hmm.
in the same breath as these other players that you're talking out there. So
Yeah.
I love his coming out party. I think he's solid man. So looking forward to see what he brings next. L- Let's move on to the next elimination team real quick. Orlando. They got bounced by the Celtics. We kind of saw that coming. Orlando has had struggles putting the ball in the hole, man. It's I'm not gonna lie, this series was hard to watch. It was just hard to watch because they were clearly outmatched. Clearly, it was what, 5-on-1. I mean, Franz was there, but yeah, Bankero was by himself, man, and he can't do it. And their defense wasn't. They couldn't sustain it long enough to slow the Celtics down, even with the
No
injuries
shot.
that they had with Tatum injuring his wrist, bone bruise. They had Jalen Brown who had an injury, and they had what's
Drew
his
didn't
name?
even play the
Drew.
series.
Yeah, Drew was gone, and then
Man, let's
Porzingis
be
with
real.
illness.
They chill. They didn't play for. Come on, let's
Yeah,
call it what it was. They're like,
that
all
was
right,
a
cool.
hard
We're gonna
series.
rest up this series.
That was a hard series to watch, man. It was just so lopsided,
they
bro.
didn't.
It was so
They
lopsided.
didn't even take it seriously, yo. If we're gonna be clear, if we're gonna be real, Celtics didn't even take that series seriously, bro. They um They basically were, black topped that series, bro.
Well, without Jalen Suggs, I
There
think
was
we
no
knew
scheming.
that, you know, uh, we knew Orlando wasn't going to have the offense. I mean, the second half of their season, that's really what they fell into. Without, I said Brunson, I think without Jalen Suggs, over reliance on Paolo and Franz, and they got to figure out going forward, like that fit can work, but there has to be enough spacing around it for it to work. It's a lot of your turn, my turn between them.
Yeah, between
And,
Jalen and
well, between Franz and Paolo.
and Paulo.
Yeah, and Paolo is clearly the guy, right? He's clearly that guy. I mean, he's top 10 level talent in my
Yeah,
opinion.
no shade to him. It was just outmatched.
So for Orlando, it's okay. What do we do with the rest of this roster to make sure that we maximize around him? Because that's where their success is gonna come from going forward.
Yeah, that series just blew. It blew. It was the worst. Let's move on, y'all, because that series was just the worst. Let's move on. So let's talk about some Cavaliers and the Pacers. So the Pacers, after eliminating the Bucks easily, they move on to play the number one team in the East. The Cavaliers are without. I mean, they eliminated the Bucks easily, no sweat. They come into Cleveland, and even though there's no Darius, but you still had Mobley, you still had everybody else. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers on the floor. Game 1. Game 2, Cleveland says, you know what? We don't need Darius. We're also gonna Mobley's out for injury as well. Hunter's out as well. And Cleveland had a lead. They were riding Donovan Mitchell's coattails. Ty Jerome was helping as well too. They were getting some help. Jared Allen was good, protecting the rim and getting the putback dunks. But lo and behold, man, they let the Pacers come back in, and Tyrese Halliburton hit a last second shot, winning the game for the Pacers. So now the Pacers are 2-0 and have taken 2 home games away from this Cleveland Cavaliers team. Is this the worst case scenario for Cleveland, guys? Could it get any worse?
You down 2-0, going to away territory. This is the worst case scenario possible. Worst case scenario possible. As a number one seed,
man, I hate this. I'm not gonna lie. We're watching the end of it with Christian on here, and it made me sick to my stomach. It made me sick to my stomach to watch, man. It really did. It really did. Just because seeing Donovan put so much effort, right, to carry that team, and then seeing them also play bad basketball and not finish the game defensively and not rebound, not box out, and allow them to really get to the rim easily or what seemed to be at will was just bad to watch. And it made me wonder, like, is this what everybody was saying about Cleveland? Are they just a good regular season squad, and when it comes to the playoffs, they're second round at best? Is this more of the
it's
same?
wild because this is the exact opposite of their brand of basketball, right? And they're basically playing Indiana's style of basketball and got beat doing so. Because Indiana frauds. They're not really like that. I'm mind blown to see that they're up 2-0 on Cleveland. And it's Cleveland losing and not Indiana winning.
Yeah.
Like Cleveland should be ashamed of themselves.
Let me just say first, we do a lot of Lakers talk. We do a lot of Knicks talk. A lot of coastal elitism. In this podcast, and I'm part of that.
I was about to say,
let's
call
first.
yourself out.
I'm glad you acknowledged that. I'm glad you acknowledged the polarizing effect that you have.
Well, let's give
So
some appreciation to this battle for the heartland of America.
oh God,
This working class
let's go to
versus
sleep,
blue
bro.
collar slugfest that's taking place here
Oh my
Mama, turn off
gosh,
my
bro.
in
camera while Ev
in
waxes and
Oh
wanes
my gosh.
the
about the
The,
central
breadbasket
time
of
zone of
America right
America.
the,
now.
Yeah, this is the breadbasket battle. You got it,
Yeah,
Hans. You
oh
got it.
man.
You
The
got
the
it.
the
So
battle for the pastures, yeah. Come
listen,
on
man,
now.
it
really,
is.
really, that's what's happening
So
right now.
one, I appreciate the matchup. Coming into it, I
Who
was
got
like,
more cows,
this may
you or
be
us? Like, come on.
wow. Listen, man, listen. Cows feed people, okay? And so to the series itself, though, coming into it, I saw it going 7. I still see it going 7. I could easily see Cleveland, if healthy, winning the next two in Indiana. Part of the problem is, and you know, after the battle I've waged with Hans here over the last few years, I feel defeat in even saying this. They sorely miss Garland. Garland is the orchestrator, the balance of their offense, right? Mitchell dropped 48 tonight. Fully expected that to happen because Donovan Mitchell is certified from a playoff performance stepping up person. Um, but Indiana, and I've heard this on multiple podcasts over the last 48 hours. Indiana and Cleveland have virtually the same record the last 50 games of the season. Like they're one game apart. So since the turn of the calendar year, Indiana's been a completely different team. They have an egalitarian offense. They have a 1A in Halliburton, who is a primary distributor, but he's sneaky and streaky in the fact that when they need buckets, he gets them like easily, almost at will. And we've seen that only in this playoffs against the Bucks. We saw it tonight with a dagger game winner against the Cavaliers. His ability to create his own shot in crunch time and get good looks when that team needs it is what gives them opportunity to close out games in a way. He's
It's,
surprisingly clutch.
Evan, I'm gonna ask a question, right? And this is both of y'all, right? And this is gonna be a little bit out of left field, but now, I mean, we are old enough to have seen Indiana of old and today. Is Halliburton Reggie reincarnated?
There's a lot of similarity there from a feel, from an antagonistic standpoint, from a penchant for making the shots that break your heart. Um, I've yes, and there's a
I'm sorry.
I'll let Han say it, but
Shout out to the pop Baba man. He's like, what did Lou say? Reggie Miller? Like, it's wild to me.
there's
I'll
a
say this. He is he is a breath of fresh air to the Indiana franchise. They have, what the last one was
Shout
like.
out to Hans with the PC ESPN response. Shout out to
Right.
him.
Oh, but I pr- I'll say this. What's Reggie Miller about his game is his antics. I'll say that. He gets under your skin. He bothers you. He really makes you feel his presence on the court. He has the mind game down pat. And the thing is, he's different from Reggie in the sense of Reggie's about it. I said it. What happens? Halliburton will do it. He'll be like, "What? What happened? I said that. What? No." Like he's slick, annoying. Like, and those are the most annoying
He
type
threw the
of
rock
players.
and hide his
trust
hand.
me. As
Yeah,
a
yeah,
as a
yeah.
Knicks fan from the '90s, there was plenty of that in Reggie as well.
I'm about
True,
to say
but
Reggie did
Reggie
plenty
was
of that. Threw the
but
rock
Reggie
and
was
hide his
very
hand.
demonstrative as well too. All right, but I'll say this: I statistically, Ev is on point. They turned the corner when Halliburton came back from his injury, right? Because he was injured on the first half of the season, and then also when they started to play defense, So when they started to really play team defense, they definitely turned the record around. But my issue and why I call them frauds is when you see them up against a team that has two stars, like two legit stars, you see the defensive gaps on Halliburton's side, and you see teams target him and they go after him, forcing him to play both sides of the ball, and that's where they typically kind of lose steam because Hallie is streaky, right? He shows up less when you're facing a team, although be it we don't have that many on the East anyway, right? We're solid two-headed monsters who can consistently go at you and keep you honest on both sides of the ball. So by virtue, they're running through what looks like the Eastern Conference right now. So I'll give them on that. But that's my issue with that, is that when I wonder, and I hate that the Cavs are going out like this, injury, and then them really honestly, this game that they lost, it wasn't injury. That was bad basketball. I'm sorry. That was bad basketball. That wasn't injury.
Agreed.
That was bad basketball. You had that game. You've controlled the tempo of the game the whole time. You lose your mind in the last minute or so. You don't play defense. You're letting them get to the hole. You're worried about fouling. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was bad basketball.
I agree, but they were hanging on for dear life the last 10 minutes of that game. The dam just broke at the end in a catastrophic fashion.
But here's my
they
thing,
were
though.
playing not to lose for like 10 minutes.
Bad basketball. That's bad basketball. And I can't for the life of me at that level. I can't for the life of me understand why we see that so much, guys. You literally for three quarters played aggressively. You're in the driver's seat. You're going for it, right? And then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter, halfway through, you get protective. You're like, gotta protect this lead. Like, no, go. We've all played ball organized somehow. I know we all had coaches that say every time the quarter's over, the score is 0-0.
Yep.
Like 0-0, go after it. So I can't for the life of me understand why they didn't have that. And given Donovan's experience, it's wild to me. It's wild to me. But I know we got to move on.
Yeah.
We'll give these 2 minutes to this Knicks Celtics matchup right here. So
Wow.
Knicks Celtics premier matchup. After Knicks dispatched the Detroit Pistons, the Celtics just laughed at the Orlando Magic. These two come head to head. We already know the pedigree of the Boston Celtics. They've been consistently record-wise number 2 in the East. The Knicks have been up and down. They've had some injuries, some things, but they've gotten it together and shown to be a solid team in the East. And they come in and they clash. Boston has, the swagger, but the Knicks also have the grit and they have the momentum as well too. So although they did handily handle Detroit, but they still have the momentum of coming off a greatest series, and they go into the Garden, man, and they go at it, and the Knicks pull it out. It was a close game, nail biter down to the end. And Brunson showed up, but I think, in my opinion, and I'll let Ev go on this, the MVP was OG. OG should get the game ball for that game. I don't think you
We'll
guys
call him
get
X
where you're at
Factor. The X Factor.
without him. But needless to say, man, you guys all pulled together. And I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not gonna lie. And then I'll move forward. I also have to tip my hat to Tibbs, man. That out of bounds play, making
Facts.
Brunson inbound, Cat,
Facts.
the back screen. Good coaching move, man. But Ev, you're the Knicks connoisseur. I'll let you wax for 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds, man. Just 2 seconds, man. What did you see? What did we miss?
Well, if I'm going to say anything first,
All right,
let me
that's it.
point out
All right,
there's
Lou.
only
go ahead.
one Garden. I saw that one coming. I was going to pop right through it. But let me just first point out that there's only one Garden. That Garden is in Manhattan. Boston plays in some field house or something. All right, so Madison Square Garden. What I'll say quickly about the Knicks, what we saw last night, the issue with Knicks fans with this team over the course of the season is that we wanted the fight of last year's team with the talent of this year's team, and it never gelled throughout the season, which is why there was so much concern coming into this playoffs. Last night in the second half, primarily the fourth quarter, we saw the fight from last year's team mixed with the talent from this year's team. The ability to finally switch on all screens, stay in front of your man, force threes. If they're not going to miss 45 threes again, a game again. That's fine. But stay in front of your man. The reason we made the trades for OG, Mikal, we had Josh Hart, was to have that switchability primarily for this Boston team. It hasn't shown up at any point during the season. It finally showed up last night. We'll see how the series plays out, but we looked better defensively. We looked how we anticipated that this team would look defensively when we made trades that we made. And to what you said from a tips from an offensive standpoint, we can handle Brunson doing his thing as long as there's still movement off of that action. We got some of that movement last night. We saw some good OG cuts, opening up 3-pointers as a result from it. OG was the best player on the court last night. Brunson made the biggest shots on the court, and so, if you're a Knicks fan, as I am, you feel good today, and it's a good thing we didn't record this last night because I'd sound much less restrained.
Well put in our next soliloquy. Now we can move on.
Right. I'll say this though: 2 things that concern me. One, on both sides, Porzingis being gone for illness, that concerns me. Although they've proven that they can win without him, right, and they can play, but I still feel like he was pivotal. He was a pivotal part. He changes it up for Boston.
It's a completely different series without him. Agreed.
Yeah. So I think that, and then also too, man. I know I've been harping on it. But your boy Cat, man, they ran him off the floor in the third quarter, and you guys cannot rely on OG to hit 4 threes in a row to get you back in the game.
Well,
So
let me defend. Let me push back.
Yeah, defend, because the Boston Celtics were defending because you can't pass out of the double team.
Second half on the court, stayed out of foul trouble. They continued to try to put him in the screen.
He stayed out of foul trouble
in the second half.
No, he didn't. He got ran off the court.
No,
remember,
he was out there in the fourth and in the OT.
Yeah, I'm talking about the third. I'm saying
But what I'm saying is, this is what I'm focused on, right? When we made the comeback and when we held the comeback, the reason we held the comeback is because we were finally able to withstand their pick and rolls and their switches and not fall for either giving up drives, threes, or fouling, right?
100%.
And so if we get that out of Cat, and when we get that out of Cat, I'm not even concerned about the scoring line. If he's getting rebounds and he's aggressively putting himself in position for like that big tip-in that he got in overtime, that's my thing. If he can stay on the court and not foul, which he did in the fourth quarter and in OT, the rest will work with.
I know we have to move on. And I think where we disagree is what we call comeback. So I called the comeback when they took him out the game, opened up the floor. OG was hitting 4 threes. They were able to run a more fluid role because Mitchell was able to come up on that. So, and then they started to wear the lead down to where it was manageable. That's what I saw as the comeback. And for me, it was telling that it happened without him on the floor. And all this series, I know you guys have been hearing it, plus or minus, right? And I think his plus or minus has to improve in order for you guys to basically jump to the next level, which is to beat this team, right? This team has been your Achilles heel. This is your championship essentially right here, right? Because one can argue you beat the Celtics, you're coming out the East, right? That's basically what the narrative is. So, but nevertheless, though, you guys still did what you had to do. You executed down at the end of the road, right? Which is great. And it wasn't just a superhero ball with Brunson. You guys mixed it up. So it's great to see, man. I'm excited. I'm officially rooting for you guys because I got to go against the Celtics. So we'll see, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But I am thinking this is going to be a long series, though. I think this is going to be a long series. I think it's going to go 7, and we're going to see some great basketball out of it. All right, y'all. Let's go to the West Coast, West Side. Some say it's the best side, but we'll see. We shall see. I don't know if I agree about that being the West Side or anything like that. We'll see. All right, guys. We'll start with the West Coast. Let's start with the teams that were eliminated first, man. Moment of silence, man, for these Clippers, man. That was hard.
I'm glad
That
you
was
said their
hard,
name.
bro.
Bums.
We're calling them bums, man.
Bums.
Ooh, come on,
Yes,
man.
because James Harden is the player
Before you
version
cook,
of Doc Rivers.
Before you
Bums.
cook,
Come on,
Lou. Before you
man.
cook, I want Lou to have the floor. But before you cook, I want to give Lou his props because at any point during the season where we pushed to give the Clippers some love, Lou was the one that consistently said, "Why? They're going to do what they always do. Clips going clip.
Always do.
So
Clips
Lou
are
called
gonna
it from the
clip,
beginning. Christian, Power Mamba too. That was from a sense of hate and Laker exception.
No, but that's out of hate. That's out of just pure Los Angeles hate.
Lou was coming from objective analysis, so I give him his props.
Was he? I don't know. He ain't no James Harden
Whoa.
fan.
Come on, bro. James Harden's going to do it. James Harden, yet again, comes up short in another big game.
I think
It's
it
just
was.
not.
Go ahead, Lou. I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, it's an elimination game. How many points do you think you should score?
You're not wrong.
Out of curiosity.
You're not wrong.
Just because it's a game 7 doesn't mean you should score 7 points.
So when I say it, I'm hating, but when Lou says it, it's analysis. Got it.
Because
Long as you understand.
It's because you want no success from them by any means necessary. By any
Both
merit.
things
You're not
can
gonna
be
give them
true.
any
I
props
can,
when they do well.
I can give an objective take and also hope for their downfall.
When your analysis gets into the level of their crowd size, I mean, now we're
hating on their arena.
Oh, you mean the 120 Clipper fans that Steve Ballmer sent to Denver to watch the funeral?
Here we go. We weren't even going to talk about that.
Private plane and everything. Sent the full fan base over there to Denver to watch them lose.
Not the full fan base.
He didn't send the full fan base. He put the whole stadium in his play. Get out of here, Christian.
There's no basketball being played in
See,
LA.
this is why,
fans out here. What are you talking about? You said the full fan base.
And this is why we say what we say.
But I will say this, man. Although this was a defeat, they played hard. That series was great. To date, for me, it's still been the best series in the playoffs for me to watch so far. I know this Knicks Celtics one is probably going to eclipse it. Hopefully this Golden State one does as well too. But it was hard fought. I was happy to see that Kawhi played it all the way through. He played consistent. He showed up. Unfortunately, I think it was a bad matchup, and I called it. I said they should have lost that last game of the series to Golden State. Sit everybody. Lose it. Go into play-in. You're going to wax Memphis. You don't have to worry about Memphis. You don't have to worry about Memphis. Lose. This Denver matchup is not good. It's going to push you too far too soon. Like, relax. Get this young, Rockets team or, get this young Rockets team and have fun with them. Okay, have fun with Baby Shangoon and have fun with them. Houston, Harden back in Houston, the narrative. You get what I'm saying? Let's do that. But do they listen to me? No.
I think the issue, if you're a Clippers fan going forward, is that you just got the first healthy Kawhi playoff series in 5 years. The likelihood of getting that again is slim.
They missed their window.
Right. You're not going to get better than what you got from James Harden this year. So if you're a Clippers fan, this may have been the best, for you for the next few years. So uh, frustrating end to a team that I think showed promise, but they lacked the execution when it mattered the most, and it feels like they laid down in Game 7. And I think that's the part
Yeah,
that
bro.
that hurts.
You know what? One thing I will say is, man, I would like to give from this series and how they is to give Tyrone Lowe his flowers as a coach because I think it really showed how he's been able to execute with the X's and O's. And I don't think Lou gets talked about enough as a coach. I think he was able to do as best as he could with the cast that he has. And I just wanted to put it out there, man.
But
I
Lou,
You
think
want to
that
give
he's actually a
flowers
really
to
great coach.
Baby Doc over here? Baby Doc Rivers?
no,
Oh,
stop it. Nowhere
well, I'll
near.
say this. I'll say this to
Nowhere
it,
near
Ty Lue
good
got
Christian.
stuff.
outcoached by Jokic.
Yeah.
Stop it.
So, well, okay. Well,
And that's a savant, man.
Or
let
coach
me
or his
say.
players, or they decided that they wanted to lay down. Don't do that.
Stop
Well,
it.
that's the
You
part
know
that kind of
Christian ain't
hurts
talking. Y'all got
because
swept by them.
you.
But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like
Who got swept by who?
Lou said
What?
they don't talk about Tyronn Lue. I think the problem is they talked about Tyronn Lue that whole series, giving him his flowers of how great a coach he was, right? And then they end up not executing to the level that they didn't execute throughout this series, a series that should have been done in 5 or 6, right?
Freaking Aaron Gordon, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the greatest assist in playoff history or
Freaking
air
Aaron
ball,
My
Gordon.
whatever you
gosh.
want to talk about, right?
Freaking
The
Aaron Gordon.
collapse in game 1, right? This shouldn't have been in game 7. So that ends up, being a mark on Ty Lue. To your point, though, Lou, where his
Is it
players
though?
more so let him down.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I feel like that's a
What's
mark
that?
on his players. You can't
You
be
can't you
coach
can't
that. Yeah.
separate. You can't come out unscathed,
I'm
though.
hearing the same
No, no,
excuses
no.
people give Doc
100%.
Rivers.
Listen,
I'm hearing the
100%.
same excuses that you people give Doc
No,
Rivers.
stop it. Stop it.
No, no, no,
Doc,
no, no. We don't give
Doc,
Doc Rivers
look at the
any
look at the
We
game
excuse.
this
7
this
records.
podcast doesn't give Doc Rivers
Doc
excuses.
Rivers, he doesn't draw up the right X's and O's. He doesn't make the right adjustments when needed. Just like your boy Darvin. All right. So it's just at the end of the day, Ty Lue can do the best he can in putting you in the best position to win. But if you don't execute, if you decide you're going to score 7 points in 48 minutes as a Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famer, when it's an elimination game, you don't deserve to win.
So is this
I'll
a
say this.
admission of the general of the front office and them not putting the right players around Ty Lue,
Listen,
coach?
No,
Because I
I
keep on being
think
told Lawrence Frank is one of the best GMs in the NBA. So what
no,
is
I
it?
think what this is although Ty Lue is going to be held accountable, most of the accountability is going to go on the players more than it is Tyrone Lue. I think that's what we're saying. We're not saying Tyrone Lue is not at fault at all, but I think what we're saying is most of the blame is going to go on these players. But guys, let's move on real quick. We had another elimination on the West Side. Rockets versus the Warriors, the YNs, the Young Guns. They took the Warriors to game 7. Warriors showed up in said game 7. Were in control for most and basically eliminated the Rockets, man. Now, what we're seeing is, unlike the other teams, this team, even before this game 7, though, because Golden State was up. Golden State was up. There shouldn't have been a game 7, people would argue. This team has been swirling with these trade rumors. So people are just throwing names out there. Should they trade Jalen? Should they trade Jabari? Is Shangu? Like they were just all on the social media just happening, right? Do they need Durant? Is Durant coming to save the day? Just all these things. Real
Don't
quick,
do
guys,
it.
because we do have to get on the other ones.
oh man,
What's Houston's next step?
So I flip it on y'all.
package Jabari and Jalen.
So I was gonna put it this way, right? If you had to start one, trade one, or start one, bench one, trade one, right? Between Shingun, Jabari, and Jalen, how would you rank that? And I think everybody would put Jalen in the trade spot, but I would actually put him in the start spot and put
Over Şengün?
Şengün in the trade spot. And here's why.
You trying to get as
Jalen's
much as you can.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And
He's the one with the
Jalen,
highest trade stock.
although 23 years old, he still is the most dynamic scorer, albeit inconsistent, of the three. So I still think that there's something there. He's just at his lowest point. When you look at Şengün, I mean,
I need names, Ev. I'm sorry. You
names
gotta
as
put
far
names
as
for this to make sense because it doesn't make sense to me. So
when you say
Yo,
I
name
know
I,
he,
I'm I was gonna let
I
him
know
cook. I was gonna let him cook because I want to
he's
see who's going to
he's the
trade for it
highest
because
he's your highest value player, right? That you would get the most for. So help me.
Şengün, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. So like you're saying that, and you're saying trade him. That's your theory. So help me wrap my head around it. What would be a
yeah, man,
hypothetical haul that would
we trying to
make
walk with
it
you on this one.
worth the while for Houston? Because I'm not seeing it. So could you give me a hypothetical haul that would
Absolutely.
make that trade make sense for Houston?
Absolutely. So, all right, we'll go with the name that immediately got floated out there, the Giannis one, right? Şengün plus pieces plus draft picks
Okay.
is going to be more of a compelling package for Giannis
Okay.
than a Jalen Green package,
Now you're
right?
making okay.
And Giannis would be in your center spot, in which you don't need Şengün in that spot, right? 10 days out of 10, you would pick Giannis over Şengün in that post spot, right? Any trade for a big name star, I think you're going to put Şengün may bring you back more at this time. Now, with that said, going forward, this league is kind of guard driven, right? So we've seen flashes of Jalen Green that's just been inconsistent. I think Jalen Green fits better around that superstar acquisition piece that you hope to get more than Şengün does. That's just my take. So it's a combination of those two. Fit with whoever ends up coming back in the trade and value in increasing the likelihood of you getting what you want to come back.
But here's the thing, right? If you have an opportunity to land Giannis, right, with whatever package you get, you don't think Giannis would want to be with a better version of Brook Lopez?
I mean, I don't. I would call Şengün a Sabonis, and I think we're trying to trade Sabonis right now too. So that's just
for
me
Cat.
though.
For Cat. Cat for
What are we doing? What are we doing?
I feel like that's a solid trade.
Yeah,
But we're no longer on the East
hey,
Coast.
yo,
But I think
Hans,
that's a
yo.
solid trade.
Hans, why you trying to sabotage the Knicks already, yo?
I'm not
What are we
sabotaging them.
doing,
That's a
man?
solid trade. You guys are wilding right now.
Listen,
He
as
knows
I
how to pass
I'm
out the
not.
double team.
I don't
He's
disagree with
as
you.
not
I
I don't agree.
as
he's
I
not
I don't
said
disagree with
scared
you. I
of the
don't disagree.
moment. What are we talking about here?
as I said last night when you sent this preposterous
Did
in
y'all
the
see
chat.
the meme
Stop
of Cat?
texting me,
Did
okay?
y'all see the
Stop
meme of
texting me.
Did y'all see the meme of Cat doing this when Tatum went for the layup? That oh my god! Like did y'all see that? Like this is who you have in your center. Like I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm gonna
Lou,
put it
man,
in the
make
chat,
sure you
man.
I
sneak
seen that. I
this
seen that.
man. Make sure
I
you
seen
sneak
it.
this man back into Jersey when he visits. Okay, you're
Get
gonna have
out
to
of
fly
here.
into Philly and drive up. All right,
Sneak man, I don't gotta sneak.
you're not
I
welcome. You're
walk
not
10
welcome
coats
in
down
Newark
in
Airport.
Jersey, okay?
You're not
It's
welcome in
solid out
Newark
there.
International anymore.
That's
Okay,
not solid out there. That's what it
You
is.
EWR.
you can't
Cat,
come into
No,
JFK with
but
that talk. All right,
Cat is
come up
not
yeah,
into
solid
but
out
DC. We'll
there.
take the Amtrak up.
Cat's
oh
not
man, he's
solid
something
out
else. The
there.
question
And we can't
about
find a Newark
bench
right now.
start trade,
Go ahead.
I don't think it makes sense for you to trade Sengun unless you're getting everything in the kitchen sink. Um, this is the piece that you want to build around. I think two pieces that you don't move if you're Houston is Sengun and Thompson. So it's like
Oh yeah,
these two
we
guys,
left
you're going
Thompson
to
out
use.
of it
These are
for a
your pieces.
reason.
These are your pieces for the future.
Yeah.
Jabari, what has Jabari done? Ever. ever for at minimum, these past 3 years. It's been very quiet. Jalen, okay, I can see you benching Jalen, but yeah, Jabari got to go. Jabari has not lived up to any barometer in which that when he was being brought on and chosen to be on this team, he's not lived up to any of that. So you try to salvage anything you can get for him, and there are plenty of teams that could use a guy like him. So he just may need a different environment, a fresh start for him to have some sort of shift in his career. But I don't think Houston is it. So if I'm Houston, I look for any opportunity to move that piece, and him picks and get another big name. There's some swirl around. Okay, does Giannis see himself going there? Like this, Houston is a team that he's considering. I think Houston would be a great move for him. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Nonetheless, though,
Jabari, you got to move Jabari.
I think Houston has some moves that need to be made this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Well, let's move on, guys. We do have another team that was eliminated. Pop Mama's going to step away real quick, man. He has to mourn real quick. The Lakers, they were eliminated.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. We got other
Okay,
things to
that's
talk
it.
about.
That's all we had to talk about. Okay, cool. So, speaking of the Timberwolves, they are
Lakers in
now
5.
playing the Golden State Warriors. Well, listen, man, Lakers were eliminated. They were less than stellar, and these young guns, man, the Timberwolves, they showed up defensively. And not only did they show up defensively, they had some role players who McDaniels who gave some offensive output for them as well too. I think Evan shed a little tear a little bit because he saw playoff Randall and what could have been, with the Knicks, even though the Knicks are good right now.
Don't worry, Evan. He's back to normal against the Warriors now. So
I'm just saying, I think there's question because we talked about it before. Who really won the trade? I think it's looking a little even right now. But nonetheless, Jackson Hayes, he didn't play any. There was a lot of scrutiny with JJ Redick, man. Luka looking like he's injured. LeBron all of a sudden turns over a knee injury.
Yeah, don't even start that BS
I
with
know.
that limping that he was doing. Oh my gosh.
he didn't go to the Met Gala, Lou, because of his knee.
Man, I'm sorry, but that is so on brand. Like, do you think LeBron does this on purpose? Like, do you think he knows like people are trolling?
Hans, stop it.
No,
I know you're not asking that like a real
no.
question.
Lou, on purpose for like funny, not on purpose for like, oh, we know he saying like, oh, I was hurt, so I have sympathy. That's why. No, like, do you think at this point, just like the whole books commercial,
He's in on the gag at this point.
Yeah, he's in on the gag at this point.
No, he does it as an excuse because he doesn't want to tarnish his legacy for falling short.
That's it. But at this point, I think there's some level of it that. Yeah, but I think Hans, I would agree with this. Some level of it is like, all right, there's some humor in this now because
I think
he knows he's not fooling anybody. That's the thing. He knows he's not fooling everybody. Everybody's just like.
Let me ask you this: as you guys, just like everybody else, was so shocked with this Laker trade, you still think Lakers are on the better side of this?
No,
absolutely. They got the best player.
Okay. So no regrets still.
I still have never been sold on Luka, so
that's true. Lou stayed consistent. He's never been sold on Luka.
I think it was a trade for the future. I think they had a hot few weeks. We got wrapped into, this could happen now. But, mixed into some excitement, there was honest conversation about the pieces on their roster needing to be better. And so they ran into a bad fit in the first round of the playoffs that exposed the deficiencies of their roster. And Luka's got to get in better shape. That's part one. And they've got to identify, what does post LeBron look like? Had a great season, especially for a 40-year-old standard. But a 41-year-old LeBron James as your second best player probably is not going to get you out of the West. So what does this team look like if LeBron continues to play basketball.
And that's my question, man. And we've talked about this before. Is it possible to set up a post LeBron team with LeBron there? Will he allow
I
you
don't
with
believe
his
so.
contract size, right? And his influence and dominance over the ball? Like, will he allow the Lakers to set it up to where they're moving and functioning without him and are moving on from him? I think that's
Yeah.
the Achilles heel for the Lakers. I think just like everybody talks about Bradley Beal trapping and holding on to Phoenix's throat with his no trade clause and holding them hostage. I think we have to say the same goes
Oh
for
man.
for the LA Lakers. I think
Yeah.
LeBron's not going to let them. The Lakers are going to do it. They're gonna all the moves they're
That's
going to
what
make
the
moving
Lakers
forward
don't
is
have
going to
the
be about
balls to do
Luca.
it.
They're going to have to do it.
That's what I'm saying. They don't
Uh,
have the balls for it. They don't. The Lakers don't have the balls to do anything
they don't
to
have the
make
balls. They
any
traded
major
AD for
shifts.
Luca.
They're
What are you
the
talking about? They
balls.
don't have the balls. Anyways, I'm not going to get into this because we got to move
So
on.
you saying
We're
that they
not
would
going to
have the
get into
balls to
this. We
move
got to move
LeBron?
on. We're not going to get into this. We got to move on. I just want to make one last point. Okay, I filled in for Evan for this last week when the Lakers
Thank
got
you.
and the Lakers got eliminated. It was the same thing last year when I filled in for Lou and the Lakers got eliminated by Denver Nuggets.
And we
I'm
we
gonna stop.
live we
I'm
live
gonna
did
stop
it.
filling
Yeah.
in when the Lakers are playing the playoffs. I'm not filling in anymore. I'm
you're
sorry.
not filling in.
That's it.
Wow. So where's the common denominator now?
Yo, you know what? I got to give it to Christian. Christian is the funniest because he's one of those. He will find whatever correlations he can
He's
to
a
let you know. He
statistician. I
says, you
told
know
you he should
what?
be in politics, but he hates
They've
politics.
said he's like, yeah. Aaron Gordon has sat out for 48 games, but they're playing the Lakers tomorrow, so he's gonna.
He's gonna be there. He's on point, man. He's on point with that. I'll say this
I
though,
give
real
it to him.
quick.
So new correlation.
Let's move on from the Lakers. I'm interested to see what they end up doing or happening. But like Christian said, I think just like Fields holding Phoenix hostage, LeBron's holding the Lakers hostage, man. I think it's just gonna be that's what it is. Until LeBron decides he's done, the Lakers can finally move on and get better. All right, guys, there's a game happening, man. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are facing off against the Golden State Warriors. Now, I will say this. Well, let's not do that. I do want to talk about Denver OKC. Denver OKC happened first. Denver waltzes into Oklahoma City. It was a tight game back and forth, and Denver ends up winning it in the last seconds of the game, you guys. Is Denver making this run? Is Denver reminding us, like, hey, we're not to be trifled with?
One thing I love about Denver, well, I'll say two things because you can't start talking about Denver without talking about Jokic. Um,
Best player
you
in the league.
know, yeah. Listen, in this
In the world.
MVP versus presumed MVP
Right,
matchup,
world.
Jokic coming off a 8 out of 10 series against the Clippers. He wasn't at his best, but he came out last night and put some numbers up. I gotta give Russell Westbrook some credit too, just
Thank
from being
you.
an agent of chaos, man, and being an agent of energy and giving this team the soul spark that it has off of the bench. I heard a stat that they're plus 75 in 40 minutes, or plus 45 and 70 minutes. I should probably get that right. In the playoffs, when Russell Westbrook is on the court instead of Michael Porter with the rest of the starters. For all Westbrook gets a lot of crap, but I've been a defender of his for the last few years. He gives hustle, he gives energy, he gives his team the spark that they need to stay active, especially in the non-Jokic minutes. And what this series really is going to come down to is what we knew it would come down to. OKC's young players stepping up. Jalen Williams can't go 5 for 20 in game one of a semifinals game. We're back. We're back where we were last year. All right.
Yeah. He's taking the next step.
As great as it has been for OKC's season, the reason that if there were still skeptics out there, the reason they were still skeptics is because they wouldn't believe until they saw this exact series here. You're back at the adult table. What are you going to do?
Lou,
Yeah,
30
I
seconds on
think the winner
OKC.
of this matchup, the winner of this matchup is going to go to the finals. You know,
Mm.
Evan, masterclass in saying a lot of stuff that's necessary. You brought up the Jalen Williams part, which is crucial. Can't be sitting here, you disappear and then being weird in the post game with sniffing Gatorade. You need to go and watch some tape and make sure that you come in the game too and ball out. And at the end of the day is you're playing against the best player in the world and a team that has championship pedigree. And like I was saying, during the season, it doesn't matter. They could be the 7th seed, 8th seed, whatever. When it comes down to the back half of the season and getting into the playoffs, we're going to see the Denver team that we all know, that has consistently been a top tier team. We talked about the Spurs is very reminiscent of that. Doesn't matter. They have a solid foundation. If there's a question about it, remember they have the best player in the world on the floor. And at any point in time, when everything's clicking, they can be in the championship.
All right, guys, we've been given a couple more minutes of grace by the Pod Mamba. We touch on this Minnesota Golden State matchup. As we're recording right now, they are playing, but it's been reported that Steph Curry has left the game with a hamstring injury, and he will not return. So that's definitely concerning. This matchup is one that is garnered very much excitement. There's so many different narratives there. We have the one with the ant, and then Jimmy Butler and his relationship with the Minnesota Timberwolves franchise and deleting them out of the teams that he's played for. So I'll say this. What are we to expect from this matchup right now? Is this going to be a clash of the changing of the guard, or is this going to be a war of attrition? The team that's the most healthiest is going to make it through because Golden State is banged up.
I feel like this series is a sequel to the series we just saw between Golden State and Houston. Golden State is the smarter team from an X's and O's standpoint. Minnesota's the more athletic team. Minnesota actually has more offense and at least a clear offensive leader from a crunch time standpoint that Houston lacked. But Minnesota, as great as they can be defensively and just from a strength, bullying, rebounding standpoint, they fall into bad tendencies from time to time. And Golden State, where they lack in athleticism and youth and scoring options, especially with Steph Curry out, that could be a game changer. They are the smarter, more effective team from an X's and O's standpoint. So it's going to come down again to does Minnesota out muscle Golden State, or does Golden State out execute Minnesota? I feel like I just said that about the Houston series.
Yeah, no, agreed. If Jimmy wasn't on this team, I would say Golden State is cooked. But having Jimmy on this team gives them still an opportunity to still have an opportunity to come out on top in the series. I expect this one to go the distance, and I'm looking forward to do so. Hopefully, Steph can come back sooner than later, but we know how hamstring injuries are. They can be a bit lingering, but yeah, agree with everything that Evan just said. Just, I'm
I think
looking forward to seeing this go the distance.
Yeah, so am I, but I'm not gonna lie, man. A hobbled Steph, I think, is just calls the series right there. So if Steph is 100%, I think it goes 6. I'm still leaning towards Minnesota. Golden State is slippery, but I don't think that they can withstand the Timberwolves. Like, to me, yes, the Rockets were young, athletic, but the Timberwolves are just that next level up to where the Rockets want to get to. So I think I have the Timberwolves coming out of this even more so now with Steph being hobbled. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. But guys, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. Please check us out on our social media, especially on our YouTube channel, so you can see our lovely faces. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next time. Peace. What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to the 3 on 3 podcast. Please be sure to give the episode a thumbs up if you loved it, hit that subscribe button, and last but not least, hit that bell. So that way you're notified every time we drop a new episode. Hit us up on our social media, guys. You can find us at the 3on3 Podcast on IG and Twitter. If you want to give us any ideas or suggestions, shoot us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.